everybody, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am back with another process video today using my April for the Love of Homemade kits. And so this was the really bright, colorful, fun kit that I put together. And so I'm going to start with a black cardstock background. And I knew that I wanted to create a grid layout. So I have 3 photos that I wanted to get on this particular page. So I cut them all to 3 by 3. And they aren't like the best quality pictures in the world. They are just a memory that needed to be kind of recorded. And so it worked out well to cut them down in size to that 3 by 3. And so I'm just kind of looking for what else I want to include. So I have just a little bit of pattern paper left. I feel like for some reason I'm going through this kit pretty fast. But then I realized I have a 6 by 6 paper pad down there. And so that's going to help me a lot try and get this layout to come together. So these pictures are basically from when we went to Pigeon Forge last summer on vacation, and we went to this like huge multi-level go-kart course. And so the first picture is just of Parker and his go-kart, and then the other 2 are not the best pictures, but they're trying to take in this multi-level course because the kids had never been on a course quite like this. So you can't see them like perfectly, but I still wanted those pictures there as part of like the experience. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 4 different pattern papers to 4 by 4. So I've cut my photos to 3 by 3. Now I'm going to cut these squares to 4 by 4. And I just picked 4 of them that kind of coordinated with the feel of the pictures and the color scheme in the pictures. So I really focused on kind of the blues and greens. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my photos and I'm going to put a white cardstock backing around all of them like I almost always do. And I'm going to do the same with that little blue square because that blue square is going to be the 4th square in my grid layout. And I do this kind of style a lot where I have 3 squares of photos and then 1 square that's like a title element box basically. And so once I get them on the white cardstock, then I'm going to go ahead and layer them up with the pattern paper. And so there's going to be a pretty good border of pattern paper, so you're really going to see all of that kind of fun, crazy look. Because I pulled all of those squares out of the same 6 by 6 paper pad, everything's going to be coordinated, the colors are the same, everything kind of works. It's funny because when I go to my embellishing later, I completely go to a different, like 2 different collections for my embellishments, and it still really all ties together, which is really cool that the colors kind of all worked. So I'm just going to strategically kind of decide where I want each of these different colors. I know that the boldest pattern that I have is that multicolor stripe. So I want that to be the one that's behind Parker because your eye is going to be drawn to that one, and that's the best picture of the 3. So it's not a great picture, but it's the best one of the 3. So as I'm working, I'm thinking about how the photos are kind of melting into the background a little bit. And so I know that that's something that I'm going to need to kind of work out a way to fix. I did decide that I want this green like circle pattern as a background around my black cardstock. So I am going to put an edge all the way around. And it's funny because I pulled this paper out for the kit for the borders that are on the other side. And then I end up using the green paper that was on the back, which was not at all my intention. But it just kind of ended up working out for this particular layout. And I like how it looks back there. So I'm just going to go with it. So then I have my boxes and I'm trying to figure out, do I want the photos to be straight on? Do I want them to be a little bit wonky? And I decide we're going with just like a straight regular grid layout. Everything's going to be lined up. We're going to have the 4 boxes in the middle. Pretty like simple design, but really impactful. So if you are stuck or looking for like a good jumping off layout, this layout design is really good for that because it doesn't require a whole lot of thought. It doesn't require a ton of embellishing, and it comes together looking really cute, especially if you use a black cardstock background because it really makes the colors and things pop up off the page. So as I'm starting to look through embellishments, I still know that I am wanting something to kind of fix the fact that I feel like my photos are getting a little bit lost in the background. And so I'll kind of show you how I end up targeting that in a second. I do have this little cut file, and I thought that would look really cute underneath my title. So I know that I'm going to build my title element on top of that spot. So then I'm just going to dig through. This is that Jelly Bean Soup packet that I've been using for the last few layouts. I thought about that sun, but it was like a little bit too cutesy for this particular layout. This is a little bit more like boy, rough, go-kart, speed track, feel. So the little sun with the smiley face just, probably would not get his seal of approval. But there's a bunch of little colored phrases in there. One of them says, heck yeah. One of them says this right here. And so those I'm going to end up using. And then I went back to my stash to grab some more embellishment. And I pulled out Pink Fresh Studios Case of the Blahs. And that has some really great kind of older kid phrases. Like I have that wild child. And then the one with the camera says not so perfect photo, but perfect memories. I also have this pack from Pink Fresh Studio. Is one of their older ones. It was just their color pack. I forget what the name of that one is. But I'm going to pull a few things out of there to see if maybe those would work as well. So I did go back to my stash a little bit just for the embellishing part, but I'm all right with that. So I'm going to create basically 2 embellishment clusters. So one is going to go in that top left photo, and then one will go in the bottom right. And so I'm anchoring them with those 2 arrows. And then I have the circle with the camera, and I know I want to use that. But I need to repeat that element in my other embellishment cluster somehow. So that's where I'm like struggling right now. Like I don't have a circle that I want. I don't have something of the right size. I can't figure out how I want that to be. But I have my 2 labels in there, and those are gonna like balance each other out. So then I'm kind of pulling in, grasping at other things. Like what else do I have? And I'm not really sure. So what I often do when I'm kind of stuck at that point in my embellishment clusters is I just move on to some other part of the layout. So I decide that I'm going to take all of my photo blocks and put them on black cardstock to help them stand up off the background paper. And it creates another layer of dimension, and I really like how that pulls it all together. So sometimes it's as simple as adding another photo mat, and that totally changes like how you're feeling about the layout. So then I went ahead and grabbed some more Case of the Blahs. So I've got some stickers and puffy stickers, and that's where I found that circle that has all the little like symbols on it, and I thought that would be perfect. That balances out the circle element. So now I just need to finish up my embellishment clusters. So I'm gonna like mess around for a second, try to figure out what I want to do, and then I'm gonna pull out my like big basket of enamel dot craziness and just start pulling pieces from there. So I have these Jersey triangles. I'm going to get a couple of lime green triangles and put one of those into each cluster. I also have those silver star puffy stickers that you kind of see off on the side. Those are going to become part of my embellishment clusters. So I'm adding a big star and a small star to each one of those clusters as well. And then I'm like, okay, I need another star, but I don't necessarily want it to be silver. So I'm going to grab these green stars instead. So now I've got 3 stars in each one of my clusters, which works for me. And I'm still trying to make this like title box work. Because that cut file is a little bit more busy, I'm trying to decide how I want to tone that down a little bit to be able to make sure you can see my title on top of it. So I look at that chipboard, I look at some of my phrases. I want to use the letters that I have in this particular kit, which are these Pink Fresh, like these big bold black ones from Case of the Blahs. And I know I want to use those, but I'm trying to figure out how to make them work. And I keep feeling like they're getting lost in that cut file. So I'm going to grab a little 2x2 square of this polka dot paper. It's the same polka dot that I use on the bottom of my grid layout. And I'm going to build my title on top of that instead. And I feel like that kind of grounds my title and makes it so it doesn't disappear quite so much into the background. I start out with it saying 1, 2, 3, go, and decide that I really just don't like the numbers. I don't know. I struggle with numbers on layouts, you guys. Do you guys have that problem, or is that just like a crazy weird thing about me? But even with all my thickers, it seems like I always end up with the numbers like left over. Do you guys do that? Like seriously, tell me in the comments below that I'm not the only one who struggles to use all of the numbers on their layouts. Like I don't mind putting the date and a date stamp or small little numbers somewhere, but all of these like big thicker numbers, for some reason they are just a struggle for me. So I go ahead and change my title to Let's Go. I'm going to put it on some foam adhesive. It's going to go right in the middle of that cut file. That kind of brings the circle element and the squares all together, and so I feel like that kind of finishes off that element. I do decide that I need just a little pop more color in each of my embellishment clusters, so I'm just going to grab some enamel dots, and this is where you get to see my big, crazy, messy bucket of enamel dots. And so I'm just looking for leftovers, basically. So I'm going to grab some orange and some red, and that's going to give me just that extra pop of color that I felt like I needed in each of those embellishment clusters. And that is basically going to do it for this layout. So hopefully you are enjoying seeing how I am using my really bright, fun April for the Love of Homemade Kits stash kit. I would love to see if you built a stash kit, what you were creating this month as well. So make sure you tag me on social media because I totally want to see what you guys are making. And tell me down below if I'm the only one that struggles with numbers because I need to figure out this number business. I have a lot of leftovers. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.